welcome to the main pod week.
Hi, Julia. So nice to be here.
So, Elise, you are the executive director of the Points North Institute and the Camden International Film Festival. CIFF 2026 is right around the corner. Are you excited? What's happening in your brain right now?
Yeah, I'm really excited, and that is one of the things that's happening in my brain. This week is bonkers. It's really, really bonkers. We have just closed the program, just locked the program. Took a few days just for the final confirmations to come through. We are now busily working on producing, a beautiful program guide. People can carry around Camden and Rockland with them. And we are just locking in, everyone's travel. We have hundreds of people coming here, and we organize, travel and accommodation for dozens of them. So it's just like everybody is working at full tilt. And then also it's like, 80 degrees outside. So it's very exciting. And yeah, just can't wait to show everyone these films.
Yeah, so this episode will be published, I believe, either on the day of or shortly after you guys officially announce the program to the public. So So do you have any particular highlights of this program?
Yeah, I think overall the thing that I'm really excited about is what I think this festival is sort of best known for, which is kind of like bringing together like really, kind of legends of the field, really respected filmmakers with, dozens of films under their belts, together with, gems that maybe haven't played at any festivals yet, or filmmakers, making their debut. And so that's definitely what's happening for this edition, and it feels really exciting. So we have we have sort of living legends like Laura Poitras and Barbara Kopple and Alex Gibney. In fact, all of those people are Oscar winners. And Sierra Pettengill and Sam Pollard. And, these filmmakers that you've seen so many films from. And then we also have some really, filmmakers that I haven't seen work from before. One of our opening night films is called The Illusion of an Everlasting Summer by Alessandra Sanguinetti. And that comes from the Argentine Pampas. And it's a beautiful film that took her 26 years to make. She's a photographer, and she produced a beautiful monograph by the same title. About two young cousins. They were her neighbors, and she started filming them when they're, 10 at the beginning of the film, back in 1999. It's just gorgeous. So I'm really excited to bring that. That's one of our opening night films. And the other opening night film is Boatbuilders by Luke Lorentzen. And I love Luke's films. His last film was called Still Small Voice, absolutely gorgeous. And Midnight Family, he made amongst a family who ran a ambulance service in Mexico City. So he's made these really extraordinary and very diverse films. And then Boatbuilders is all filmed in Brooklyn Boatyard, just up the coast here in Maine. So really kind of like, I think that's the thing I'm most excited about, is bringing together these living legends and then, new work that is maybe, slightly less well-known filmmakers from around the world.
Speaking of these living legends, Barbara Kopple, that's so exciting. So can you describe her film that's showing at CIFF and how it kind of relates to her previous work?
Yeah, so her new film is called Uniontown, and it's kind of the natural conclusion of a trilogy of work about, union, about labor in the US. Started with Harlan County, which won an Oscar, and it is a portrait, a look at the modern labor struggles in the US today, specifically in New York City. I feel like there's been a lot of, there's just been a lot in the ether, in the culture about unions. Obviously, there was the film Union a couple of years ago. Brilliant film that we showed here as well. And so I think it's very reflective of kind of what is in the zeitgeist, and what people are interested in the US in this current moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about I feel like the modern union movement is like in many ways so different than like the kind of union movement that she was covering in American Dream. It's fascinating that, she has these titans of the genre of like labor documentary, and then all of a sudden she's back with a very like updated version.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have her up here,
And is she coming?
Yes, she'll be here. She'll be here. I mean,
so
that's,
exciting.
we bring every filmmaker to Mid-Coast, Maine who has a film showing at the festival.
Is that true?
Yeah.
So every filmmaker will be here?
Every feature filmmaker.
Every feature filmmaker.
Yeah.
Yes.
But whether they are from Argentina or Australia or, Brooklyn, Maine or Portland, we bring everyone here. And the only folks who, there's maybe a small handful of folks who can't join us. There are filmmakers who don't want to travel to the US right now. So we have, a couple of those.
Totally
and then there's some folks who can't get visas in time given the
Right.
short, the short time span in which we have to, sort out flights and visas. And it's not that easy from certain regions of the world to get visas for the US at the moment. So, but besides that, every filmmaker will be here. So it really becomes like kind of, a sort of little dock town by the sea where everyone gets to rub shoulders together. There aren't velvet ropes and multiple parties to go to. Everyone is, down on that dock together. And I think that's one of the things, this will be the 10th festival that I have attended in one form or another, the 10th Camden International Film Festival that I've been at. So for 10 years now, I've been, chatting with new filmmakers and, established filmmakers, my own personal heroes, down on a dock at 2 a.m., and I think that's just what is so... that's what I've always loved about this festival, long before I even, dreamt of leading it.
That sort of leads into my next question, which is, besides the actual films, what can people look forward to at the festival?
Yeah. We've got a bunch of stuff. I'm really excited. So we did an experiment last year, which was like, could we put on a free screening the night before the festival? We can't make this festival happen without the enthusiastic participation of the folks in Camden, Rockport, Rockland. It just wouldn't work. These are small towns. So the towns and everyone in it are really kind of wonderful and generous and helpful for us. So we just thought, wouldn't it be great to do a screening the night before the festival? Any of our industry and filmmakers who are in town can join, but mostly it's like about getting the community out. So we have a free screening on Wednesday night. It is at the Strom Auditorium, which is actually the biggest auditorium we have access to, which is in the high school. And that is the new film from Nanette Burstein about Carl Sagan, new film from Nat Geo, that will premiere at Telluride. So I'm super excited about that because I just think that's an opportunity for like everyone just to pile down and, see a doc for free. Why not? What else do we have? We have a photography exhibition, which we're putting up at Main Media. And it is photographs from Pete Muller, who is the director of Bucks Harbor. So Pete is a storied Nat Geo photojournalist who sometimes turns his hand to making exceptionally beautiful films. So he actually, alongside making the film in Bucks Harbor, which is again just up the coast in Machias, he also was taking photographs while he was making that film. So we've got a photography exhibition at Main Media, which and we have a reception that's open on 5:00 on Friday. What else am I excited about? We've got community sail. So you want to go sailing? SAIL.
Fun. I was like, either one. Like, I love a sail and I love a sail. So
yeah, we do love a sail, and this one's actually free. So you can, our friends at the Apprentice Shop at in Rockland have worked with us to organize a sailing trip for anyone who would like to go on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. So we can have like 40 people on traditional wooden boats.
Wow.
First come, first serve. Go for a sail. We're by the coast. We're surrounded by the sea. Why not? So I'm really excited about that. We did a community run up Beach Hill last year, and we wanted to do something else that makes the most of our landscape.
Right.
What else am I excited about? I'm always excited about our after dark parties. They start at 10 p.m.
Legendary.
They're legendary. They go until the last person wants to stop dancing, and I'm
Which
long
is
in
you,
bed.
right?
No, come on. Gotta get up and do things the next morning. Yeah. But they ran. We get older, but they keep going. So
amazing.
That'll be Friday night and Saturday night, After Dark 1, After Dark 2, down on the dock at Journey's End. And actually, the thing I'm really excited about as well, and it's all coming together right now, but MC Taylor is more often known as His Golden Messenger. He's done the music for I think he's done the credit song for one of our films, and he is going to play just like a little set in our Yeti Lounge that will be available for anyone who has a pass of any level. And he's playing with Nikolai Hess, who did the score for that film for Bucks Harbor. So
Wow.
yeah, so we've got photography, we've got live music, we've got sailing, and we've got dancing. So and we've got films.
Yeah, the whole point.
Yeah, it's not a triumvirate. It's a, I don't know, whatever that would be.
It's just a whole smorgasbord of art.
It's
art and beauty and nature and amazingness. That's awesome. Yeah. So Bucks Harbor is one of how many main films in the program? It's
such a good question. Okay, we've got Boatbuilders,
right,
which was shot in Brooklyn Boatyard. We've got Bucks Harbor, filmed a little bit further north in Machias Port. We have our Dirigo Docks shorts program, right? So that's all films that are made by Maine-based filmmakers,
and that's like what, like 7 or 8 or something like that, and that's on Sunday afternoon. We have a session that I'm calling Science Nonfiction, which happens, we're using the Farnsworth Auditorium, and that's got a coastal Maine film in it as well. So I don't know what that is. That's like a couple of features actually, and how to clean a house in 10 easy steps is made by a Colombian filmmaker who is based here in Maine as well. So we have, there's a lot of Maine ties. I would say Boatbuilders and Bucks Harbor will be like the ones that are very identifiably, coastal Maine films. But yeah, a lot of the lineup has, connections with the state one way or another. So tell me more about Bucks Harbor and kind of like the storyline there. What is it like?
It is such a beautiful film. I mean, you would expect that a photojournalist would make a gorgeous looking film, and he has, but more than that, it is just a beautiful portrait of, folks who fish for lobster for a living. That is a physically taxing pursuit. That is early mornings. That is cold, long days. And Pete's just made this beautiful film, which is a portrait of, several of the folks in that community and that relationship between that harshness of the work and the life, and then how that plays out in their lives over time, and kind of their reflections on that as well. I'm really looking forward to showing it. I was so excited when I saw that such a local film was selected for the Berlinale in February, and have been super excited to bring it home. This will be its main premiere, and I know that we'll have lots of folks coming down from down east and joining us, and I can't wait to kind of welcome them all into Camden and Rockland.
That's exciting. Yeah, so I guess, like, speaking of sort of selection and building your program brick by brick over the past, many months. What is the process usually for selecting films? Is it like sort of a group effort? Do you guys have certain films that you're each kind of like, okay, like I am championing this particular film and like this is what I want? Or is it sort of like a little bit of both?
It's definitely a group project, no doubt. So we have our artistic director, Sean Flynn. It is curated between him and our senior programmer, Zainab Say, our festival manager, Morgan Holquist, and then our programming associates, Gugi Gamalang and Nahal Vyas. Gugi works on features and Nahal on shorts. So that's kind of like the core team. Often before films get to them, we have a screening committee, festival screening committee. It is volunteer, and we got almost 2,000 submissions this year. So that is 2,000 features and shorts that have to be, screened. So it's like the screening committee is big. It's like 50 people. And some folks are local and some folks are all over the world, and some people watch 2 films and some people watch 20. So everything goes through that screening committee that is submitted. And also, yes, our team, we are on the road all the time, kind of watching films, meeting with filmmakers who are working, who have works in progress. We obviously have a lot of films that come through our own artist programs at different points in their evolution. So it is a big project. It starts in February and it doesn't end until the end of July. So whatever that is, February, March, April, May, June, July. That is 6 months of screening and discussion. I am primarily not involved I'm not in those meetings. I do watch a lot as it's coming through, and, I will talk with team members about different films. But, of course, that people are always going to go to bat for a film that they really care about. And you have to be a little, you might have to be a little bit strategic. Maybe you have the film that you're prepared to lose because you really want the film that you're going to, go for. But ultimately, everyone on the team needs to feel happy about everything that's selected. It's a small team. They're fantastically talented as programmers, like extraordinary perspectives, and so you really want every member of the team to kind of be able to co-sign on the whole slate, and the whole slate has to hang together as a group of films. You don't want it leaning too heavily, and it's a small, it's not. It is a boutique festival. It is, we have 28 features. So you have to really make every single one has to count. And every single team member has to be able to feel really excited about, showing every film, even if it's, not necessarily the thing that they would choose to watch on a Saturday night. Yeah, we have a really diverse audience. So we have to program for all of the audiences that we have.
What are some of those subsections of your audience that
well,
you're thinking about?
Yeah, I guess what I'm thinking about is that we have a very strong local audience, and we also have a really strong international audience. And those tastes don't necessarily diverge, but sometimes they do. So, we have an audience that has a real taste for the experimental and a real taste for films that are really pushing the form, really pushing the boundaries of the form. And, and we have audiences who maybe want something that is more kind of character driven, maybe less interested in pushing the form. They want a really kind of well constructed, storyline that they can really follow in its chapters. So, we have to kind of, we have to, we have to cater for all audiences. I mean, and also, individuals can want both of those things over the course of 4 days. 4 days of experimental film is pretty intense. So
that's very intense. I don't know if I could do that.
So you
maybe
do,
a day.
Yeah, you really, it's 4 days, and we start on Thursday morning and we go through to Sunday night. So you also it's not even that you're catering for different audiences. You're catering for, every audience member and their kind of, their taste over the course of many days. So
yeah.
What you want to watch at 8 p.m. is different from what you want to watch at 11 a.m. And if you've sat down and watched 4 hours of Alex Gibney's Elon Musk film, you might then want a little kind of hour and 10 minute
cleanser.
A little palate cleanser, You might want to watch Jaripeo from Efraín, Mojica, which is about an hour and 20 minutes and is just kind of a dreamy trip into rural Mexico. So, you might want, you're going to want a lot of different journeys over the course of 4 days.
Yeah. So what do you say to people who have the misconception, and maybe rightly so? I mean, every stereotype, maybe people say every stereotype has some truth to it or whatever, but people who say oh, documentary is it's always such a bummer. It's always such a bummer. Well, I guess my first question should have been, do you hear that? And what do you say to that?
I mean, sure. Yeah. I mean, documentary is not a bummer. That's like saying, I don't know, the weather is a bummer. Or, it is an art form, and it contains multitudes, and it is also a reflection of the lives we lead. And some of that's really difficult, some of that's really tough. And I think, yes, documentary is and can be there to hold up a mirror to parts of life in all of their beauty and their challenge. I think some of the films we have in this year's lineup are exactly that. To Hold a Mountain is set on a Montenegrin mountainside. So, and amongst a sort of semi-nomadic sheep herding community. It is truly one of the most beautiful films I have seen in a long time. I've watched it 3 times now, I think, all in very different environments. I watched it on a laptop. I saw the premiere at Sundance. I've seen, and every single time I'm captivated by it, whether the screen is 13 inches across or 13 feet. some of that film is so difficult. It has pain in it, and it is so beautiful. And I cannot wait for people to see it. So, like, sure, bits of life really suck. And, you know, no doubt about it. And bits of life are so beautiful. And more often than not, those two things sit right jammed up next to each other. Last year on opening night, you know, we watched Come See Me in the Good Light. It is without doubt one of the films that stands out for so many people, both at the festival and just as I'm on the circuit. It was about the last few months of somebody's life, but a poet. What could be, what could be
more like resonant, like, where it's like the pain and the grief and the beauty and the eloquence all rolled into one.
So I just sort of really feel like that about this year's festival. You know, there is so much beauty. Boatbuilders, Illusion of an Everlasting Summer, Jaripeo. These are To Hold a Mountain. These are just such beautiful films, and that is not to say that they are, you know, the kind of rose-tinted spectacle beauty. They are, they're kind of real, gritty, you know, the beauty that really lives. So, yeah, I reject documentary as a bummer, as a kind of indictment of the form.
Yes,
I reject the premise whilst also accepting that life's hard, and we should know that.
Well, because I think, you know, as there are more and more kind of, you know, shows and movies a lot on streaming where it's just sort of like you put it on and it's not a way to really like experience a story. It's a way to just like numb yourself. Right. You know, people get used to that. Like, I just want my content to serve that purpose, not to show me the beauty and the pain together in a really like poetic way.
Right.
So I think, I mean, it sounds like, you know, the festival is like reminding people like there is struggle. There is struggle and there is beauty in that struggle sometimes.
Totally. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And also like to witness someone else's struggle, to see them, you know, is both a gift to them, you know, the gift of being seen, and also the gift of giving yourself the opportunity to be changed and to be maybe comforted in your own struggle.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So, okay, the last time I saw you was at the Points North Presents series that you guys were running over the course of the off season this year. And this was the first time you did that. So how did that go? And how do you feel like it's sort of like overlapped with your work for the festival?
It's been so fun. We started in March. We have shown a film every month on the fourth Thursday, as we discussed.
On the fourth Thursday.
Rolls
off the tongue.
Just, you know, never forget it. We have shown a film at the Strand Theatre in Rockland every month since then. We also took a boat trip out to North Haven, and we screened a film there last month, which was really great as well. It's been so good, and I bump into people around the towns all the time, people I've never met before, who are just like, by the way, I love what you're doing. I went to buy a pot at the garden centre, you know, Plants Unlimited. Guy behind the desk was like, my name's Robert. I love the films you're showing. I bumped into someone else at a cafe last week. She said, I've been to every single one. So I think what's been really fun about that is, you know, 4 days in September is wonderful, bringing together local community and the world to screen 4 days of films. But, you know, thousands of people live here year round. And so It's really fun just to kind of show the thing. We love documentaries. We absolutely love them. And so it's really fun just to kind of be able to show them every Thursday. And we've had great audiences, really, really good audiences.
Yeah,
I think the one
I went to, the AI doc, everybody was like, it was packed, first of all.
It was packed. It was more than 200 people there.
The post-film discussion was like so interesting, and people had a lot of feelings and thoughts.
People had a lot of feelings and thoughts about AI, the AI revolution. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we have had a community conversation after every single film, which has been really enjoyable and really interesting, and, you know, just a chance for people to kind of process with their neighbors what they've just seen. And the films have been really, really different and diverse. So the conversations are also similarly incredibly varied. But yeah, no, we have one more coming up this side of the festival. So we've got, we're showing Wild Inside by Penny Lane, which is about Flaco the owl, who made his escape from the New York City Zoo and lived a life of freedom.
Freedom and notoriety.
Freedom and notoriety, exactly.
Yeah, and that's been doing pretty well.
Yeah,
the film has been doing very well. People were
they had this huge screening they brought Flaco home essentially because they had a big screening in Central Park. Which is, where what was his ground for learning how to fly and learning how to hunt, and after he made his escape. So this Eurasian eagle owl. That's it. Anyway, so we're showing Flaco, we're showing Wild Inside. We've got Penny Lane joining us at the end of August, which will be really fun, and then we'll do some more screenings after the festival. We've got some sort of CIFF encores, so we will take kind of some of the biggest hits from the festival. We'll take them kind of on the road. So we'll go up to the Colonial in Belfast. We'll do some extra screenings at the Strand in October, and we'll also go down to PMA, the Portland Museum of Art, and do some screenings there. So it'll be really fun to kind of hit the road. I mean, for the most part, festival programming is films that have not been widely seen yet. I mean, we have 4 world premieres at the festival this year. We have an extra 30 something. What did my notes say? Did I make that up? No, I'm not. Yeah, we have another 37 US and North American premieres across features and shorts. So, we go heavy on premieres or, films that have probably come out since January for the most part, have hit festival since January. And then for Points North Presents, it's maybe films that are maybe a little older. I mean, usually in the last year and a half, but maybe they're
like
kind of
on their theatrical circuit.
Yeah,
basically.
They're kind of either coming to the end of their festival run or the very beginning of their theatrical run.
Right.
So that's, so I mean, our local community are still getting brand new documentaries that they probably won't otherwise have a chance to see in a theatre unless they want to travel to Portland or Woolwich or,
Not Woolwich.
Not Woolwich.
Definitely not.
Not a cinematic hotbed.
Unfortunately, no. Although, the Evening Star in Brunswick, shout out to the Evening Star. They do great programming. Of course, they're a single screen, so it's a little bit, more of a puzzle to figure that out. But yeah, I mean, I think that's so important because you truly, you don't have the opportunity to watch these films just anywhere in a theater. And so often people think of documentary as oh yeah, that's going to be on Netflix soon. How do you guys how are you approaching that conversation of challenging that? How do you challenge the notion that documentary is meant for the small screen?
I mean, I suppose our existence challenges that.
Yeah.
Filling the Strand, getting more than 200 people to a screening in a town that does, in the deepest of winter, in a town that itself has 7,000 people, I think that challenges that. I think just the fact that we can run a 4-day documentary festival that pulls in folks internationally and locally challenges that. So I'm kind of not in any doubt about about the appetite. I think what's really challenging is that what people are offered is limited. And what is available is limited, and what people are readily sort of served up. And unless you go hunting, it can be a bit more challenging. So, you just open your whatever is your streaming app of choice, and you will be served up a lot of documentary, but, the quality and the variety and the range, questionable.
Right. The quality, exactly. The quality of the film itself, and then the quality of your experience watching it.
Yeah, and the quality of your experience. I mean, I just think that people coming out for Points North Presents and people coming out for the festival shows that they're hungry for more, And sure, there's a place for a small screen. We can't all just be, watching everything that we want to watch on a big screen, but it does feel like a treat, sure, needs must. I'll watch things on my laptop, but But the experience of the movie theater is really different, and everything has its place. I don't want to be a snob, some films are just cinematically beautiful, and I urge people to see them on a big screen. And also, like, I don't know, I have a pretty diverse taste, and so I'm also happy to watch stuff on, my TV or my laptop if it means I'm going to watch it. But yeah, I think it's just about it's the access.
It's the access.
We want to maintain the access.
And streaming, on one hand, gives you a lot of access. I mean, like, you can watch a lot of these films that you wouldn't otherwise, if streaming didn't exist, you wouldn't otherwise have access to them.
Yeah, I mean, think about films on PBS as well. That might never come to the cinema, and like you can travel the world on PBS. You can go everywhere, and you can learn so much, and you can experience so much. I mean, we have such brilliant films funded through the public media system. Those folks are fighting so hard.
Oh my gosh,
for public media, and we all need to fight so hard for public media, because what we have access to and what we have learned over the last many decades because of public media is just unquantifiable.
Yes, and this is your PSA, folks.
Yeah, this is your PSA.
Donate to Main Public, please.
Exactly.
Or your local newspaper.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. Yeah. You have to. And so I also, PBS has everything, so much of their content is available online. And so, I'm not going to be snobby about watching stuff online, because you can get so much great, there's so much great material out there. I also think that, like, there is also a question of access. Like,
yes,
I'm living in a town of 7,000 people. We are so lucky that in this town of 7,000 people, we have a single screen art house cinema, and then also a multiplex in the next town. But that, I mean, I'll take the US. Obviously I'm not from here originally, but like, that is not the case for hundreds of thousands of millions of people. So
especially not in Maine.
And actually not even in Maine, exactly,
I mean, people frequently have to drive like 45 minutes, an hour to even any kind of movie theater.
Right. So in that case, I'm kind of like, get your ducks where you can, folks, plus it costs money,
It costs money and time, and you got to get a babysitter, and
well, exactly. So I think that's what I mean. Obviously, like, I wish cinematic experiences for everyone in cinemas, and I wish for filmmakers to have their work viewed like that. But also, like, I have to acknowledge, like, exactly, time, money, availability make these things a little bit more challenging for like so many people in this country and across the world, and in the UK and across Europe.
Yeah.
Not to mention, all of the many other parts of the world where, for instance, our films come from. So yeah, I mean, exactly. I'm all for a movie in a theater, but I'm also like,
right. But if not seeing that movie in the theater is going to prevent you from seeing the film, period, then that's a problem, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, support your local movie theater if you've got one.
Yes, if you've got one, if you have the time and access and availability and everything. So what do you think is the core audience of CIFF? I know we were like talking about this earlier. You said like your audience is very diverse, but I guess like, how are those couple of sections of your audience changing, or are they?
So there was a global pandemic, and it really gutted film festivals.
Yes.
I think across the US, something like attendance dropped by 30% from like 2019 to 2021, or maybe even 2022. So I think for us at CIFF, we have been building back our audience since 2021, basically. 2021 was a rough year. And last year, 2025, was the biggest audience we'd had since 2019. So, I would say that what has remained consistent through those years is our local audience. And, obviously what took a major beating was our international audiences, and even national audiences. It seems both incredibly recent and also quite a long time ago, but like, it took a long time for people to want to return to indoor spaces. So I think over this period of kind of tumult, our local audiences have remained pretty pretty consistent. I mean, before I was here, the organization, met the moment by opening up a drive-in. So that was a great way to kind of, circumvent, the need to stay indoors or to not mix with folks because people came to the movies in their car. But yeah, no, we've been building back our audience and over the last few years, and last year was a great showing, which was really fantastic. But yeah, our audience is kind of very roughly divide as, a really solid audience that's within driving distance, and then folks who are coming from all over the country and then beyond. I'd say the majority of our international audience are filmmakers who are showing films, or folks who are coming in who are kind of part of the industry, who are coming in to kind of, yes, enjoy themselves and also do business. Right. Yeah. And also our artist programs. So, all of the programs we run, which is fellowships for filmmakers who have work in progress, that we have, I think, 4 cohorts of filmmakers coming this year. So, and that's a very international crowd as well.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay. So my last question is kind of rewinding from like the festival exhibition side and going way back into kind of the beginning of how a film gets made. What is the best thing a documentary filmmaker can do to find funding for their film?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's all of the traditional routes, which is I feel like is a pathway you kind of have to beat. So you're applying for your grants, your fellowships, and what that does, even if you don't get selected for those things, is it sort of socializes the project. There are plenty of films which will apply multiple times to grants and be successful, not on the first or the second, but on the third. Folks on our side of things are tracking projects. I remember Kim Yutani, who's the programmer for Sundance, saying, she's head of programming for Sundance, she said, films shouldn't come out of nowhere. If we're doing our job, we shouldn't be sort of ambushed by a brilliant film. We should know. If we're doing our jobs properly, we should know about those films from the beginning right through. And by the time they're finished, we should know about them if we are doing our jobs properly. Yeah. So I think, the thing about, and I really learned this when I was, I produced a couple of films, and I realized that, making your film in secret, quietly, is a really bad idea. Like, you want people, it's a crowded market, and you want folks to know about the film that you're making as you're making it.
Which is hard because oftentimes that's a really vulnerable thing to do.
Incredibly vulnerable. Yeah. We have our Points North pitch. We have 6 filmmakers get up on stage and present their work in progress. And it is really, it's harrowing. And also maybe harrowing is an overstatement, but also the audience is so hungry for it. I love to see under the hood of a film that is partway done, and, showing 3 minutes or 4 minutes of footage and just seeing how that comes together. And, and I know I'm off topic here, but, we've got, I think, 4 films that have been through our programs that are in the festival this year. I think 2 or 3 of them pitched publicly. So we've got...
I remember the how to clean a house and...
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. How to clean a house pitched last year.
Right.
Windows of Time, which had a different name back then, I think pitched in 2022, and Jaripeo pitched in 2023. So I think that's really fun for the audience to kind of be able to see, where did that film land?
Yeah.
I loved that pitch. Where did that film land? Anyway, to bring back to what I was saying, I think it's really important to apply for things and to try to not be too discouraged if you're not successful, because just know that what you're also doing is, these grants have many, many folks in the industry who read them and, are assessing them. And then the other side of that is getting out and talking to people in person, and I think that smaller festivals like, Camden and many others across the country are really good for that, because they're very kind of democratic, egalitarian spaces that, like I said, don't have kind of secret dinners and velvet ropes and, parties for the, it's just everyone kind of on the same dance floor or in the same bar or whatever. And it's actually much, much, much easier to chat with folks and to talk about your project in this much more kind of low stakes environment. So I think kind of getting out there and just, getting to where folks are and meeting people. And then I think, just connecting with people about subject matter. You meet folks in the most unexpected of places, both kind of geographically and sort of emotionally. And I think if you're just like ready to talk about your film, especially, in film spaces, you will make connections with some extraordinary people.
Well, Elise, when is CIFF and where can people find out more about the festival?
Yes. So the Camden International Film Festival, the 22nd annual Camden International Film Festival, takes place from the 17th to the 20th of September 2026. You can find out about it and buy passes on our website. That is pointsnorthinstitute.org/CIFF. We have that special screening the night before the festival on September 16th. And what else can I tell you?
Can folks buy individual tickets as well to screenings?
Yeah, a little bit closer to the festival. We release a limited, sort of once we got a sense of what the pass sales are like, we will release individual tickets to films for $18. We have a new pass this year, which gets you to 3 films and 2 parties, because a lot of people, they think they'll see 10 films, but they won't. And and they've come enough times to know that. And our parties, as we know, are legendary. So yeah, we can, that's really our nice. Select pass. Select pass.
Okay. That's good. That's good to have sort of a cheaper option to...
Yeah, exactly. So you can get the screenings pass, which is just all of the films, or you can get the select pass, which is for people who like movies and parties. And then
who doesn't like movies and parties?
And who doesn't like movies and parties? So there's that, and then yes, they kind of go up from there, and you can get access to it. We have a really broad and exciting set of panel discussions and talks and masterclasses. And so if you get the program pass, that will get you into the films and the parties and the forum. So,
oh my gosh, you better just block off a whole week and
please
camp out. Yeah, totally.
I will be.
All right. Well, thank you so much. This is so great. And see you next month.
Yeah. Thanks, Julia. See you next month.
The Maine Pod Week is hosted by Nate Stevenson and Julia Dunleavy, and edited and produced by Nate Stevenson. Social media video is produced by Nick Brown, and music is created by Peter Coleman. The podcast is a project of the Maine Play Week, a new media publication covering the moviegoing experience here in Maine. You can support our coverage financially by becoming a paid subscriber to our Substack at themaineplayweek.substack.com/subscribe. Send your ideas, questions, or other musings to hello@themaineplayweek.com, and follow us at The Maine Play Week on Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, and Substack. Learn more at themaineplayweek.com. But most importantly, tell your movie-loving friends that we're here, and we'll see you at the cinema.